If you're a fan of crime and punishment, then you're in for a treat. We're talking about the criminals that have been convicted of the most heinous crimes imaginable and yet still remain in solitary confinement. The absolute worst form of imprisonment. Hey there, everyone. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the top 5 most terrifying prisoners in history that have been locked away in solitary confinement. These 5 prisoners are considered so dangerous that the government believes they should be kept completely isolated from the rest of the world. From serial killers to the criminally insane, these are the criminals we need to forget, but never forget the lessons they can teach us. Number 5. Barry Mills. Barry's criminal history was infamous, and in 2002, he was one of 40 people charged with committing 32 murders. He was a fearsome-looking inmate who always wore dark sunglasses to hide the damage to his eye, which was caused in a prison fight. He was an inmate who rose to become the leader of a prison gang, which had a huge presence across prisons. This gang was involved in numerous prison wars, and even while Barry was in prison, he was still actively recruiting members. Barry was placed in solitary confinement, where he remained until 2018 when he passed away. It seemed that even the harsh punishment of solitary confinement couldn't stop him from continuing his criminal activities. Number 4. Richard Reed. In 2001, Richard Reed attempted to detonate a shoe bomb on American Airlines Flight 63, which was headed from Paris to Miami. Thankfully, his attempt was unsuccessful. But unfortunately, his actions warranted severe consequences. In 2003, Reed was given 3 consecutive life sentences and 110 years without parole. Reed, commonly known as the shoe bomber, has been in solitary confinement since receiving his sentence. This means that he is locked in his cell for 23 hours a day with motion sensors and video cameras constantly monitoring his every move. Every half hour, guards check in on Reed through a small window in his door. His meals are passed through a slot in the door and must be eaten in his cell. Number 3. El Chapo. El Chapo Joaquin Guzman, otherwise known as El Chapo, was the leader of one of the world's most powerful and violent drug cartels. It is estimated that he killed between 2,000 to 3,000 people and had a hand in trafficking hundreds of tons of drugs to the US and Mexico. He was given the nickname El Chapo due to his short stature, standing at just 5'6" tall. In 2014, El Chapo famously claimed that he was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. This was a sign of the kind of power and authority he had. What made El Chapo so feared was that he managed to escape from almost every prison he was locked away in. In 2016, however, he was recaptured and sent to the US to be tried for federal charges. He was found guilty and ended up in solitary confinement at ADX Florence. Even here, he has yet to escape. Number 2. Ted KACZYNSKI. Ted KACZYNSKI, better known as the Unabomber, is an example of a person who had a great deal of potential but chose to use it destructively. With an IQ of 167, he was a bright young boy who skipped a 6th grade and went on to attend Harvard. Unfortunately, he didn't put his intelligence to good use. Instead, KACZYNSKI was responsible for sending out 16 homemade bombs through the mail, killing 3 people and injuring 23 others. As a result, he was charged with 3 counts of homicide and sentenced to 8 life sentences in prison. When in prison, KACZYNSKI was described as being very weird by another inmate. He was so isolated from the outside world that he wouldn't even go outside when allowed to, preferring to stay in his 12 by 10-foot cabin. Number 1. Dennis Rader. Dennis Rader, also known as BTK, was one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. He struck fear into the hearts of the public for over 3 decades, and his heinous acts of torture and murder still haunt us to this day. Rader first began his killing spree in 1974 when he targeted the Otero family. He had no prior experience in killing and ended up torturing them to death. After that, he went on to murder a total of 10 people, with each one being more cruel and gruesome than the one before. He even took photographs of his victims while they were being tortured and kept them in a secret basement. In 2005, BTK was finally apprehended and sentenced to life in prison. In a chilling video, he confessed to all his heinous acts and was sent to solitary confinement, where he remains to this day. Well, there you have it. The top 5 most terrifying prisoners we need to forget in solitary confinement. From mobsters to murderers, these criminals are the stuff of nightmares. We hope you found this video informative. If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting videos. Thanks for watching. Until next time.